nothing done. Y'all wild boys. Ready to go? All right, man. So let's start with recap last season at Northwest Class. Now it was your final season, head coach of the boys out there. And I know it was tough sledding at different points, but there was a moment I can remember being in talks with you where you guys had sort of turned the corner, started finding your traction as a team, but still left a little meat on the bone, so to speak. Pause.
Yeah.
All right, toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Coming into that year, we expected to have 6 seniors for the entirety of it,
Yeah.
and we ended up 2 of them ended up quitting down the stretch. Well, one of them I ended up having to let go, and then another one ended up quitting at a pivotal time in the season. But
I remember that.
The 4 constants that stuck around. That's what really made me look forward into going to that senior year too. And then especially with those 2 talented, they are seniors but juniors at the time, with Lil B and Dev, and then my seniors were Kemar, Leslie, Quincy, and then Jamari actually came along in Spurs too, and he was somebody who didn't see a whole lot of game time the year prior and was working through some things, but he ended up having some really, really big games for us and some big plays, especially I'd say probably his biggest game was that Edmond Santa Fe game. But as the season goes, we had high expectations for ourselves. We ended up coming up short. In that last regional game, we ended up losing by 1 down the stretch to PC North. A lot of peaks and valleys. A lot of teams got used to us, and we had to make some adjustments. I had to grow as a coach too and make some adjustments that I've necessarily not had to make before on the fly.
That was y'all second matchup with PC North, right?
Yeah, because we played them in the PCI too, and we had a good lead on them in the PCI. They ended up zoning us up, and at the time we weren't really very good at handling zone, and I put that on me too. You know what I'm saying? But they ended up pulling that one out, and then once we played them in the playoffs, we had a good showing, good first half, good 3 quarters, and then those 2 guards that can just go get it, Kai and then Anthony for PC North, they just let them the rest of the way in.
So instead of just one season, man, I'm gonna let you speak for a minute. Recap your entire tenure at Northwest Classic, which I think is unique. All right, and then of course
just the boys or the girls too.
That's why I say it's unique. See, you started off assistant coaching the fellas, right? And then I don't want to say ascended, but let's say merged into the role as the girls' head coach, which was your first gig as a head coach, right?
My first head coach.
And you stayed there long enough to move from that side to becoming the head boys coach, which was, well, I ain't gonna say unexpected, but wink, wink, unexpected.
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
Talk about that whole tenure, man. You had a long run over there.
Yeah. So started off as boys assistant, all right, on that side.
What year was that?
That was 2018, I want to say. Yeah, that had to be like 2018. Right after I got married, I'm pretty sure.
Boom. That's right. That was my first year at Tecumseh. One and only.
But had a really good year there. We made it to state, lost in the semis to Dale City. And then my little sister-in-law went to Northwest, as most people who knows me know. She was going into her sophomore year, so I took on that responsibility of coaching that team. Wanted to help with her development and get my first head coaching gig. So did that for 3 years. Got a lot of good things out of it, not record-wise, but she was all-state. I had a couple of girls that made all-conference who really weren't finishing out seasons prior to me being there. So that was just a goal in itself too. And got her signed into college and school paid for free. So after she had got done, I knew I wanted to get back to really competing at a high level. So I just planned on coming back over to the boys side of things and helping out an assistant. The head coach at the time, he stepped down and the job opened. I went for the job and I got it. So then I had 2 seasons with the boys. That first year, it was crazy in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Just really learning the guys, and I was around them a lot, so I kind of knew about them a lot. But really, just getting to know them, build relationships with them, and just seeing the talent that we had there. We had a lot of talent that a lot of people didn't realize, because they would see the size and say, "Oh, they're pretty small." But I had some guys that can go. At all times, I had about 4 guards at least on the floor that could play, not just out there taking up space, that could actually make plays. So I saw that. I saw what we had, see what we could do. Ended up winning 16 games my first year there with the boys, and they had a really good year. And then I knew coming into that following year that we had a lot of seniors. We were supposed to have 6 or 7 originally. One we ended up letting go, and then another one he ended up quitting down the stretch of the season as well. But still ended with 4 solid ones, and then had Lil B and Dev too that came back, and they were sophomores the year prior, so juniors that next year. So I was really looking forward to getting them, and then having Kemar, Leslie, Quincy, Jamari, who all made big plays throughout that 2 years. Yeah. I mean, I can go all over the place with plays that they made in big games, you know, whether it be against Dell City, Grind Prep, Lawton, you know, in conference with Southeast, just, you know, time and time again, you know, big games. So I was really looking forward to coming into that senior year with those guys, with majority of those seniors, knowing that we could really make an impact, and people knew that we were coming. And with that, teams made adjustments too. Start seeing a lot more zones and a frequent pace more than I ever have. And it really,
those guys can do a lot going downhill, so I can understand.
So it really forced me to expand my horizons, and actually made me a better coach. I'm very thankful for that time spent. And that was our first year. You got to remember, too, that last year that I had with them, that was our first time being at a full District 6A schedule, you know, so there's no off nights.
Right.
So you go in there and you playing Norman, you playing Lawton, you playing UConn was good. They don't let the record fool you. They were still a really good team, had some good players. So every night you had to prepare, and you would get different looks and different play styles, too. So within that, you know, we took some lumps, but we had some really good signature wins that year, too. And some times where some guys could have, you know, put their head down, tucked tail, but they responded well, too. And we never looked at it as a size issue to where we couldn't compete. That was always my biggest thing, my biggest hurdle when we got over there. I was like, every game that we step on the floor, we need to be coming in here and ready to compete, and knowing that we compete and expecting to win. That was the biggest thing, expecting to win some of those matchups where people, you know, were worried about the name or, you know, who we were playing. Yeah, saw a lot of good responses. And, you know, those guys helped me tremendously. I wouldn't be where I am at today, you know, without them. And they just made me a better coach.
So your mentality, because I know you personally, is you're a bottom line kind of guy. And, you know, the moral victories, you know, you don't hear a lot of those coming from you. But realistically speaking, whether you knew it or not at the time, you sort of had to shift your mentality when you went into the role as the girls' head coach over there, because the program was in much different shape than the boys' program. Was it tough, I guess, dialing your mentality back and like, all right, I got to assess progress differently in this girls' situation? I would imagine it wasn't much of a switch when you went back to the boys' side when the program was a little more competitive.
Yeah, it was, but I'm still going to be me at the end of the day. So I just want to go out there and get the best effort and, you know, competition-wise. And we knew, you know, some of those would be a little bit tough on us. But the main thing with me and where my team was at the time was we did a lot of skill work on a daily basis. Like half of my practice was skill work because, you know, you don't have a whole bunch of girls that have been playing basketball before or played a lot at all. You know, I had one girl that was full-time, you know, played year-round. So my expectations are always high, though, as far as competing and asking the best out of my players.
Sure.
One thing that everybody has came and counted with me, they like, nah, you're going to hear from Coach Creed. You're going to say something about it if you're slacking or slipping. But I'll go to bat for you, too, and I'll also show you love when you're doing well, too. So I kind of take pride in seeing things in some people that other people might not see, you know, and trying to get the best out of them instead of making excuses as to why they can't do this or that.
Yeah. And I think if we set the bar where it's at and don't move it, we'll be surprised sometimes that them kids can a lot of times stretch on out and get it. But, all right, so we talk a lot as coaches about getting our players to trust us, but we got to get to the point where we can trust them too. Yeah. And what I'm getting to is some of the players that you had at Northwest Classen, they didn't come from some conventional backgrounds. No. Some of them did, but a lot of them didn't, right? And, you know, a lot of them had some edge on them, rightfully so. And talk about some of those battles that you had to fight on a daily just to get their attention and maintain their attention and keep them on point enough to even get them to the gym to where we can do some basketball stuff, you know?
Yeah. Probably the biggest thing was just habits and what they were used to doing and how they were kind of used to going about things and, you know, making sure they weren't cutting corners. Yeah. So just getting guys in there to buy in and what we're doing and knowing, like, hey, regardless of what you got going on outside of school, which everybody's situation is different, some tougher than others, but when you're a part of a team, you're sacrificing for the betterment of the team. Yeah. So I have an expectation for you. I expect you to be here. I expect you to be, you know, on time. I expect us to compete at the highest level. I expect us to be able to hold everybody accountable. And, you know, they actually bought in pretty well, too. It wasn't too much pushback, especially, you know, that first year with me coming in. I did a lot more running with them outdoors than, you know, that they were accustomed to. But they responded and did really well. And then coming into that next year, they already knew, like, hey, y'all know what we doing. So, you know, don't act dumb, you know.
Don't be brand new.
Yeah, all right, just go out there, do what you're supposed to do, get the work in, and we'll move on. Because they knew the play style that we played, it would benefit them in the long run doing it too. So it made it a little bit easier once they saw, like, okay, this is fun, you know, the brand of basketball that we were playing at the time.
For sure. How vital was the help from your assistant coaches, man?
Oh, man, it's tremendous, man. I felt like I had the perfect guys for where we were at and, you know, and what we needed, and we all work really well off each other. You know what I'm saying? And they are going to say whatever comes to their seed, whatever comes to their mind. Yeah, the boss is super, you know, competitive. And he going to go back and forth and push the players. D'Angelo, too, very, very good coach, good basketball mind as well, and going to nitpick and let them know, too, and going to ask the most out of guys. So, you know, it was no drop off from an energy and effort standpoint from the coaches' side too. And even when they didn't, you know, like to hear it all the time, they respected it because they knew, okay, like, you know, they all gonna hold us accountable.
And you all got credibility too.
Yeah, and I take pride in too, and cause I know how my assistant, when I worked under guys, and you know, it helped me grow when they let me, you know, say my piece and be, you know, implement things. And I told them when they came from day one, I was like, look, man, I don't know what you plan on doing after this, or if you want to be a head coach or what, but, you know, if you see anything, if you see any adjustments that we can make, if you see anything, you feel anything that's on your mind, let me know, you know, because I want us to grow as a group and to keep pushing each other. And everybody's not right all the time. So, you know, there might be things they see that can help you out during the course of a game too, as far as adjustments and, you know, and personnel and all types of things like that. So they were really perfect for that group that we had over there. And that group responded well to us too.
You think it took a minute for them to really believe that you meant what you said when you say, hey, anything that you see or you need to say, get it off? Or did it take them a minute to jump in the mix?
Nah, they got right to it. Yeah, that's naturally.
I expect you to say that.
If you know the boss is like, you know, he wants to debate with people all the time. So he's not gonna have a problem speaking his mind. And then D'Angelo is very, you know what I'm saying, he gonna speak his mind too.
That's right. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, they're not gonna hold anything back.
All right.
But they knew too when you know, they weren't always like rah on guys too. They knew when to bring a guy in, talk to him, you know, level him out, or you know, come over, hey coach, man, you might want to look at this or see this, you know, with this, or you might think about putting this guy in. So, you know, they did a great job for me.
Dope. All right. Well, you know, I would say skipping ahead, but not really, because you're back home here where you made your bones at Tulsa Edison Prep, right? How did this come about, man? And what I'm always interested in knowing is whenever a coach leaves one place and ends up at another, especially when he or she was able to leave on his own, I'm never quite sure what's the right way to do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has a different story or a different outlook on how it should be done. Some people leave in a not so tasteful way, and then other people do it, and it's well received, man. So, how did this become a thing, and when did it become real in your mind? Like, oh, this is a possibility.
I would say it's God. That's the only way I could put it. The year prior, whenever we had, you know, we won 16 games. You know, a lot of people assumed already with that job when it opened up that I would be going for it.
Oh, Edison.
Or going after it. And I knew I wanted to stay put because of all the time that we put in with that group. And I was like, yeah, I want to see this through. I know we can, you know, do more with it. So even at that time, which was a tough decision to make because you don't know who's going to get the spot or if it's ever going to open back up again. You know, it's rare that you get chances to go back to the school that you played at to be able to go coach. But I didn't even attempt to interview or do anything like that. I was like, nah, I'm going to stay put where I'm at. And then after this season, once I started, you know, hearing rumblings about it possibly opening up, I was just like, you know, I can't ignore the signs that, you know, God is putting out in front of me. Yeah, twice. I'm like, I at least got to attempt it. If I don't attempt it, you know, that'd kind of be a slap in the face. So I was just like, I don't think it's a coincidence. It's rare that you hear about jobs, especially ones like this where coaches in the past have had long tenures here, to where it had an opening and then it had another opening in the following
Like
year.
back to back.
Yeah, like back to back. So after that, I just started making my rounds, making my calls, and putting two and two together, and it ended up working out.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you this question transparently because I sort of know some of the details because we got a personal relationship, and I do think that you left Northwest Class in the right way and did things tastefully. So before you applied here to Edison and sent your paperwork and put your bid in, did you do that before or after you had let your current administration at Northwest Class know that it was gonna happen, that you were gonna shoot for this one? You know
I let my people know first.
Okay,
there.
okay. Was there any doubt in your mind that, man, is this the right play, or or should I wait and do it the other way around? Because we've heard stories about people doing it multiple different ways.
Yeah, I mean, to each his own, but Northwest Classroom did a lot for me and my family within that 6 years of me being there, and I had a lot of really good relationships. Me and my AD were really on point, really tight. My principals are there. Even when they had new principals to come in, the principal that's there currently used to be an assistant principal there from prior, so I was familiar with her too. And the support there in the school, and my wife working there, being a coach there, it was just perfect for our family dynamic. Yeah. So it was really important for me to make sure that they knew, hey, I was going to be pursuing this. Once I found out and got my ducks in a row, I was like, okay, I might, actually have a shot at this. I just went on ahead and did my due diligence and let my AD know, ahead of time, like, hey, I'm gonna be pursuing this. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
I wasn't actively shopping to go to multiple places.
That part.
This was it was too picture perfect for me not to attempt to do it. So I let him know openly, like, hey, I'm going after this job, but if I don't get it, I don't plan on going anywhere else. I'm going to stay put, but I just couldn't pass up this opportunity.
Yeah. And I remember you and I, we were having a conversation on the phone some months ago, and this was before this job was open at all. And as a matter of fact, I think we may have still been in last season, the 2023-2024 campaign. Yeah. And Tori, she just interrupted the conversation like, at some point, we're going to end up back that way, just like real random. Yeah. And then it like some months later, it materialized. So how was she about the whole process? Was she an easy sell to get her on board in terms of you wanting to pursue this?
Yeah, she understood it.
Yeah.
Yes, especially from a logistics standpoint and, what we're trying to do with this. And, she was on board. Yeah. She's already super supportive of me. We super supportive of each other. Right. But she knew just as well as I did. Like, it made a lot of sense. Even if she's not as familiar with Tulsa, we lived in OKC longer, but she's been here before in small spurts in the summer when we were in college and whatnot. Yeah. So she knew, it would be a good deal for us and for me to pursue it.
All right. So when you got the call back from, I'm guessing, Coach Ships to offer you the job, tell you got it. Okay, so now you got to let your boys know, you know what I mean, at Northwest Classic. Yeah, and you never shy away from moments like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is easy. So how was that? How well received was it, and how rough or not so rough was it for you to get through it?
That was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do in my life. Just frankly, because I really care about the people that I come in contact with, and that was a special group, right? A really, really special group to me. Maybe not to other people, but to me. So, and when you're going through that process and the due process, it's tough when you're seeing those guys every day and you're working in the school and you want to say something to them and you can't ahead of time, just because that's the process. Yeah. But every day that once I knew that I had to wait before I said something or couldn't say anything, it was killing me. Right. Because those guys come by and stop by and would talk to me on a daily basis for the most part. And
you got to act like ain't nothing brewing.
Yeah, that's the part about the business that I didn't, that comes with it, don't like, but it feels fake. Yeah. At times. But I got everybody together to let them know. And it was tough too on my wife because she let the volleyball team know at the same time. We tried to coordinate it to where it wasn't any leaks to where we let both teams know at the same time. And, I really wasn't expecting a lot of the responses I got. A lot of guys were, I knew they cared about me, but, some guys would shed some tears in there and, gave me love, afterwards too, even though they might not have wanted to at the time. But, it was definitely tough. It was one of the toughest things I had to do. But I can't preach to them about, handling your business and taking things head on. And I'm not doing it myself. Right. So.
I feel that. Was it still? Could you still feel the love for the rest of the school year? Because I know you didn't just jet right away. You finished the last month or have a longer school year. We had.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, and
Good deal.
And it was responses that I expected too. So I knew, from the seniors, they're not coming back. So they gonna keep showing me love too. And I knew the guys that were there and that were returning, they still love me and still show me love too. And I knew that that would hurt them too at the same time too. Like I would understand them being a little upset about it.
Yeah.
Because from a kid's standpoint, a kid's dynamic, they like, oh, he's leaving us. But that was one of the few times in my career that I've done something selfishly for me and my family. In this business, we do a lot for a lot of people and other people's families.
Yeah.
So that was the one time where I was like, I got to be a little selfish. So I understood, and those guys still showed me love too. Even if they were a little upset.
Yeah.
And some weren't, some got it, but I get it when the other ones don't get it so much.
That's true. Having to play the long game sometimes. All right, so when then y'all make the move, y'all make the transition here to Tulsa, and it's pretty much right at the beginning of the summer. And so it's hot and heavy pretty much as soon as y'all touch down. Summer league games, team camp, bam, 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 bam. I don't know if you had any expectations of your team over the summer, but how would you say the summer went in your estimation?
I think the summer went pretty well for us. Okay. As far as, just coming into something new, running new things with them and competing from the standpoint of, I think we did pretty well in summer league. I think we did pretty well in our team camps on a daily basis. And man, you're not lying. That was at a time too early on, I guess towards the end of May or early June. Like I still hadn't fully moved yet, so we were going back and forth
multiple times a week.
I was on the turnpike more than what I had to be, but I knew it was important for me to be there and be visible for everything. I could have easily been like, hey, I'll just have another coach do this, but I wanted to make sure that my presence was felt and they kind of knew where we were coming from and the goals and, what we were looking forward to. But no, I had, I don't know what my expectation was because I just wanted to see what we were working with and what we had. And we ended up having a lot of really good pieces. To me,
I agree.
A lot of stuff that we can work with. So, I would say the most promising thing is we were competitive in just about every game that we were in. You know what I'm saying? In the summer, it'll come, you'll have a couple off ones. Yeah. But for the most part, every game was pretty competitive.
And I'd say, I think we got to the point to where we saw pretty much the same faces. Yeah. Every game. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that ain't the easiest thing to accomplish, depending on where you are.
Not even just every game, just even on an everyday basis of our summer, summer pride type stuff. It was a really good attendance rate for that. So that was promising too.
Auditioning period, you know what I mean? You got new management. But you know what? I ain't gonna salt them for that. You know what I mean? Whatever gets you here, just get here. All right, so we fast forward in just a little bit, but now it is, as we sit here today recording, it's October the 9th. So we're months removed from the summer. I know you got your feet underneath you now, and this has become the norm for you, I'm sure. So where are we now in our developmental process? You know what I mean? As a team, developing a personality and trying to get concepts in place so we can look worth a damn whenever it's time to go scrimmaging or here in about a month.
Yeah. So before I get to that, we had a really good preseason.
Yeah.
Really productive preseason where guys committed to the weight room, committed to conditioning. They showed up for that. And now we're at that point where we got that delicate balance of, putting new material in and then also making sure that they still being able to compete on a daily basis. Because, you can have a bunch of stuff to run and do, but I want to see what I'm working with up here too. What's the mental makeup of my guys, not just the physical. Because a lot of guys, especially when you get to doing drill work or you're doing, basic preseason things, some guys can really stand out and look good, but once they get between the lines, it might look a little different. Yeah. The game might look a little faster to them, or maybe it's not translating the same way.
Not able to quite put it all together.
And you might have some guys who are struggling and not looking as good in the preseason stuff that, hey, they're a little bit better of a basketball player than, I thought they were. So just finding that balance and, it's interesting, too, because it's new all the way. You're the only thing that was here, constantly from last year. But, 2 new coaches as well, 3 new, including me, So in the midst of us all learning each other, too, getting the most out of the players and pushing them every single day. So right now we just kind of been in that, mode of seeing who do we have, what are we working with, and then, all the other stuff will come with it. We have put in, some actions and plays and all that too. But I want to see people's tendencies right now early. That's the biggest thing.
And that'll tell us where we can plug and play. You know, who we can put where, who we probably let's let them sit for a little bit. That process, that part of the process is always exciting, man.
Yeah.
Because people are asking me all the time, just like I'm sure they're asking you, what y'all gonna be like, man? What's the team looking like? And I'm like, man, we still got some shoes to fill in some areas, but seeing who's gonna emerge as the guys that we can depend on, it's always something that happens that we can't necessarily see right now.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting on that. That's gonna be fun.
No, it is.
All right, so when you touch down, we still got a couple of faces here in administrative roles that were here when you were a student here, right?
Yep.
And you graduated 14 years ago, bro, 2010. Well, then when you get back, your AD is one of your former assistant coaches when you were playing here. And then one of our assistant principals was here during your era as well, man. Talk about, you know, how nostalgic it was to come and be looking at them when you're in there in that interview room and when they the ones that offer you the job. And it's how full circle of a moment this is.
It was cool, man. And the crazy thing about this, with as many additions as they made, like, of course, when I was here, the EPAC wasn't a thing. So,
Right.
you know, we never got to play over here. But as far as the school dynamic goes, the only thing that really is different in a big way over there is the Collegiate Center that got added on, which wasn't there at all when we were there. And then the cafeteria updates, too, and the stuff they added, like, it wasn't a whole little like snack bar area and all that either. But
the lecture halls were there during that time?
So I'm just counting that as part of the collegiate center.
For sure.
But but as far as the aesthetic as a school, like everything looks the exact same.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trip, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of like I was in a Twilight Zone for a little bit. I'm like, man, this is crazy, you know what I'm saying?
But like, I got to get to class.
It's cool, and then you know, even through the interview process, I go into everything confident, but. It was cool just seeing them there, you know, even after all that time, and knowing how invested they are and how much they bleed green. Miss Conley, I know for sure. Coach Ships, for sure, anybody that knows him knows how he is about it. And, you know, even my lady Miss King, you know, working in the dean's office. And it's full circle.
She's a big fan of yours, bro.
Oh, man, it's crazy because, you know, they were all here during some of the best times and best teams that came through here when we were here. And it's just crazy when I'm sitting up in the office, you know, talking with her. And my son's right there, and she's, you know, that's just like a full circle moment. Or
all together.
or seeing them, you know, fool with them. And it'll be even more of a trip if, you know, down the line, my sons get to play here too, you know, so that'll be cool as well. So, God works for sure.
Man, okay, so I actually saved that particular topic for a little later in the list, but since you went on ahead and segued us, let's talk about it, man. So you got two sons, man. You and Tori, y'all got two little boys. Are they 14 months apart?
13
months apart, okay. Your oldest is 4, that's your namesake, and then your baby boy just made 3 last month, man. And looking down the road, because we talk about it a lot, 10 years from now, it seems like a long way away. Nah, man, it's going to be here in a minute. So I'm gearing up to ask you, of course, I know you want them suckers to be athletes. I think they're going to be. Basketball players, to be specific. Not every parent desires to coach their kid. Do you want to coach them, man?
Yeah, I think that'd be dope, man. Okay. I look forward to that. Being around and being every day and having a hand in their development as well, and then them knowing, you know, how to do things the right way as well. But I've seen it with coaches, great coaches of the past who have gotten to coach their kids, and I think it can be a really cool dynamic too.
For sure.
But being me, I'm always gonna be one. You got to earn it. I don't care if you're my son.
Right.
You know, the best players got to play.
Got to.
So if you're not cutting it, I'm not putting you on the court because you're my son. You know, that's just what it is. So I think it's our job as parents to just help them and for themselves too, but just make sure you're good enough to where we validate it, you know what I'm saying, without question, because we know being a coach's kid is one of the toughest things you can do because majority of the time, a lot of people think you get the opportunities because of who your parent is. So you got to be 2 or 3 times better than the next guy for them not to complain. And people are still going to find a reason.
Still going to find a reason, man. Even if he's head and shoulders the best thing out there.
Yeah.
And I also think it's tougher, also, I don't want to say tougher, but I also think it's tough on parents who coach their kids from, you know, trying to find that balance, like how much is too much. And like, I think what I've seen in my experience is they're either not hard enough on their kid or they're too hard on them. And it's like, you know, finding out how to make those two things work. That's going to be interesting.
And bigger than basketball, too, you want to make sure, you know, forget about basketball. Like, this is my son's. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure the relationships are there, you know, everlasting for life. So I want them to feel comfortable to come to me, you know, about anything and know that I got their back, too. You know. And from the kids, too, just to add on to that, it's cool coming back because on the west side we didn't have that many people out there. It was just us.
Oh, we talking
as
about
far
your
as
village.
like family and friends and
Got
stuff.
Got it.
And I'm being from Tulsa, man. I know just about everybody.
Can't go nowhere without running
and
into
I got
somebody.
a lot of friends who have kids the same age as my kids, boys specifically.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, we should be able to get some shit going, or get some stuff going.
We're going to edit that. I love that. Hey, I'm going to tell you, because of course I know your family, I know your boys, and though they are two of the most entertaining little dudes out there. But even so early in their lives, I listen to you and Tori talk about traits about them that I haven't necessarily seen. And then after you say it, I'll sit back and watch like, oh, yeah, y'all on between Creed and Tristan, better known as Tum Tum, man.
Creed is super energetic, outgoing, in everybody's face, into everything,
Ain't met a stranger.
Yeah, getting his speech together right now. So, skinny, long, athletic, big feet, but, just funny, full of life all the time. He doesn't eat meat.
Yeah.
And he's not vegan or anything like that. He eats white rice all the time.
Got to be authentic though, don't it?
Yeah, it can't be instant. It has to be like from the pot and the good stuff. He can tell the difference. And he eats white rice every single day. And then Tom is just more of a to himself at times. Like he can go off and do his own thing and play by himself. But then, he'll join the pack too. But Tom, man, is just goofy. But big though. Like people don't realize. I tell people all the time.
Biggest 3-year-old
on the
out
phone. I'm like, look, if they hadn't seen him, I'm like, dude, my youngest son is big. And once they see him in person, they're like, oh no, he. I'm like, I just told you that.
Told you, man.
Because maybe some people exaggerate their kids, but anybody that's seen my youngest son, when they see him in person, they're like, nah, that's a big dude, man. He gonna be big. So
he don't look his age yet.
Yeah, he's funny. He's funny.
Oh yeah.
But super strong, and they really doesn't know how strong he is too.
Yeah.
And,
big bundle of joy.
I would say Creed is more physical than him. You know what I'm saying, as far as that goes. But Tom is, probably naturally more stronger.
Man, for a while I thought that it was Creed that was exclusively Mama's boy. But now, watching how they both just be, if she stopped too fast, they're going to run right into the back of her, man. Yeah. Talk about how that is, like, they little, I don't want to say hate, but love-hate relationship. Because, like, they'll get on the nerves, but she can't go that long without being around them.
But see, the thing is, I'll say most women, but I'll speak for mine. They go into this wanting to be the favorites at everything, right? Then once you get what you want, what's the issue? You know what I'm saying? And they can be all over me too, but it's nothing. Y'all know how y'all are with y'all mamas, and I know I am with my mom. Like it ain't nothing like your mama.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, man.
Yeah, they butt heads all the time, but they best friends, man. And it's funny because they got a lot of her traits too. Like I see a lot of my traits, but I see a lot of her traits too. Obviously, Creed looks just like his mom.
Literally.
But they just a lot of the same temperament, a lot of the same mannerisms. But they definitely get on each other's nerves, and it's just like, man, they can't. They want to be everywhere she's at, but they've gotten a lot better as they've been growing about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just as important too, but I'm just second. I'm cool with being second.
You're a tier below.
I'm cool with being second, but
but you hold it down whenever it's daddy day now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And she's not around. They right on my hip everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They're doing their thing. So
right on.
Or if we here at the gym and I hit the corner to go grab something, Creed thinks I left. So.
That's what's up, man. Beautiful dynamic y'all got going on, brother.
Yeah, just knowing how to pick and choose your battles, man. The best, you learn from experience. That's the best teacher. So, I've definitely taken my lumps, early on in my career and learned some things. And luckily, I had a lot of great coaches that I worked for, throughout that time that really helped me develop. They didn't just have me there as a warm body. Like, they were, very pivotal in my development. Like, they held me accountable. They made me do things that I maybe didn't see myself doing at the time or, maybe didn't hold myself to. But I was blessed enough to have guys around me that saw like, hey man, you can do something with this. So I would say I've grown tremendously as far as knowing the business. And when you come in, I think every guy, especially from our background and the kind of coaches that we had, you think I gotta be rah rah with every single guy. I gotta, do this and do that. And then some battles just are not worth fighting.
Yeah.
And you learn that with time.
I had to.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to.
So, yeah, some stuff is just better left, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's just move on to the next thing. So I think I did a really good job of learning that. And then within those years, you start learning things. I think the cool part is when you get guys that start getting into this business and they see certain things, you can kind of tell them things is going to happen before it happens. Like, yeah, just watch such and such. You'll see. It's going to go this way.
Because you've been there before.
Or watch this, I've seen this type of parent before. Trust me, it might be cool right now, but we'll see how it looks when, stuff starts when we start getting in the fire.
I feel that. So, to being specific, another good segue. You're doing great right now, man. Some lessons, or maybe just one thing that you can remember that you took from every one of your previous employers, like any coach that you worked for from the beginning of your career all the way to now. Something that maybe they said to you that stuck with you. Maybe it's something that they used to do that you now apply in your methods. Giving them a little bit of salute.
Like various coaches or?
Oh, yeah. No, well, I'm coaches that you worked with or worked for directly, whether it be Josh Berry. I know he gave you your first break into the business, right? Yep. And then we worked together early on. I think that was your second stint. Yep. And you worked with Coach Jack, right? And that might have been your last stint, right, as an assistant?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been around a little bit.
Nah, yeah, Barry.
Mr. Diplomatic himself.
Yeah, because at that time I was fresh out of college and I was trying to go play overseas. That was my big goal.
Right on.
And that's all I was seeing in tunnel vision. And what he was great at was he never in the midst of that told me, well, that's unrealistic. You can't do that. While I was pursuing that, he was like, well, how about you come and coach and come do these things too, because you had gym access, you'll help the players out. You're already around the players all the time anyway. Yeah. And I didn't even realize at the time, but he was molding me into, being a coach. Yeah. And I wouldn't even have got that first gig if it wasn't, for him. But he took traits out of me and noticed like, hey, this dude's in the gym all the time. He wants to be here. He has the voice for it. He'll speak up and, speak his mind too as well. So, he really got me going in the right direction. And, I took a lot from him as far as dealing with various different people, you know what I'm saying, and dealing with certain situations, and then really putting the time in and standing on what you believe in, too, and, what you're bringing to the table and what you're trying to get out of the team and see for this team, too.
That's true.
One thing I'll say for him, too, is he wasn't a guy like, oh, this is the only way that we doing things, or, he wasn't trying to hear out his assistant coaches. That's probably why I'm kind of the way I am with my assistants now, too, because he had so many good pieces around him at the time when I first started out. Like, Coach Duncan did a lot for me.
Yeah,
meant a lot for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He used to have me on the bus, and he would drive the buses, and he would make me draw up plays while I'm up there with him, just on around. What you got for me right now? Draw something up. You know what I'm saying? He would never let me go to sleep on the bus. He always made me ride with him. And he would be like, man, you got to start doing this stuff, and then just learning him and learning his background. I'm like, oh, he got a lot of knowledge, too, in this. So, he helped me out in a lot of ways, too. And then when I got over there with you, it really got me to where I got to really build relationships with those guys, early on. And
you definitely carved out a lane, your own lane that didn't have no traffic in it over there.
And it's usually not hard for me to relate with players because I'm a guy who likes to get in the gym. Yeah. So if you want to get in the gym and you play for me or you play on one of my teams, you usually have no issue getting in the gym because I'm a gym guy and I know what the reps will do for you. Yeah. So just doing that, and it was great seeing you. That was your first year too, and just seeing you in that role, and then seeing you thriving too. You know, that first year,
had a good run, bro.
Man, I remember we came in there and people told us, if you win 5 games, we'll be happy, and we ended up winning 15.
Yeah, like, well, watch this.
So it was great, man, and the thing I took about you was, which obviously people can tell from your show now, but you're a great public speaker as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was some times in the huddle where you would rally the troops and get the guys going. I remember specifically, I tell you all the time.
Bad boy speech.
When we were at that tournament, where we at, Kansas?
About to lose.
I was like, man, that was a great speech. And I didn't realize this dude's so silly, man. He took some of the parts from a movie.
Come on, man. Bad boys, man. It's going to be them. It's going to be us. Come on, man. They too young.
And they got the huddle like, yeah.
Went out there and won the game with the buzzer.
And we definitely went out there and won the game, too.
You had your moments.
Yeah, especially you had a nice calmness and comfort about you within the huddle. You know what I'm saying? And you never seem to get too high or too low. You could always bring guys in too. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I took from you at the time. And then, being over there with Jack and, Womack and Coach Mo, I was really at a point in time where I was like, man, I don't even know if I really want to coach that much anymore.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, yeah, just kind of had been through a lot.
Yeah.
And that kind of rejuvenated and revitalized with my hunger for it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to go, man. Just having kids who needed that arm around them, and needed that extra attention, and just having so much talent around her, like we did, and being able to push, you know what I'm saying? And
was that the last year of y'all being 5A?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, because my first year in girls, we went straight to 6A.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was fun too. And I would say Jack, personality wise too, he definitely be tough on guys, but I would say people enjoyed, playing for him, being around him. And he believed in his guys to a T. And that's one thing I always respected. You know what I'm saying? He's going to talk his guys up at any given situation. Even if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing at the time, he's going to speak that life into them, So he was really good at guys. We already had confident guys over there, but he was really good at getting them, going and getting them riled up. And, great, really good stint over there, good coach. Great coach over there, and did a lot of good things too, as far as making the state tournaments and turning that program around. Because I want to say him and Womack even told me prior to them being there, I think that first year or so they had 2 wins.
Right.
So to turn it around from that and then going to that state tournament every year, which was one of the highlights too of me just being a part of that, because we just had a special group of some kids that hadn't played yet.
Yeah.
Before, a good mix of some ones that did, transferred too. But no, it was really cool having that experience and then seeing them get going down the stretch.
And there's some personalities. There's some personalities right there. Them combined with yours, you know what I mean? That's very colorful over there on that side.
And
Jack and
Womack do a good job at embracing guys' personalities too.
Yeah.
And the type of kids that we had, and getting the best out of them. And if you know them too, Jack and Womack are very competitive themselves too. So they just kind of got them to have that walk and that swag about them. And how they carry themselves. Because we had one guy over there at the time, Davion, and he went on a tear that year. He was averaging like 27.
I remember Davion.
Yeah, he was
nasty
going
with
like
it.
crazy. So yeah.
All right, man. Listen, here's how we gonna end it. You know how we do. Last year, dog, who beat y'all? Who had no business beating y'all? You know what I mean? And if you could go back in time, you know what I mean? You gonna hit the rewind button, run that game back. You going back to that game?
I say PC North both times.
Both times. Okay.
Because the first time in the tournament, we had I know we was up by at least 8 to 10 at one point.
That was the PCI matchup, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we were up by double digits in that regional game too. We ended up, I think 10 might have been the biggest we were up by, but
Right.
I feel like we were in control of that game pretty much the whole time. And then those two guys just went crazy. But the first time it was more of a, hey, they were matched up with us. We were thriving. They switched to the zone. And we really didn't have an answer for it at the time.
Right on. It was more strategic.
Yeah, because the last time when they played us and they threw the zone at us, we responded well.
Yeah.
And they ended up switching back, down the stretch. They just had guys who made good plays.
Yeah.
So I was proud of my team in that standpoint of seeing that growth. If you would have watched the games, hand to hand, you'd be like, they really made adjustments. And that's a big part of coaching too.
For sure.
Is being able to see those things and then, lock in. Because a lot of guys in this business have ego too.
Yeah.
And,
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
though.
you got to have some. Yeah. But two, you can never be too big to learn. Once you stop learning, then you probably need to get out of it.
That's right. All right. Well, shoot, man. I think we covered quite a bit of ground, brother. Congratulations on getting the gig. Glad to have you back on this side. And I would say good luck, but we in this thing together. So let's see how much we can get done this year. Y'all come fly with us, man. See what these Eagles can do this year.
For sure.
Hey. Smooth. Yeah.